Hello, all you beautiful beings of this lovely planet. Welcome inside to League Unlock. My name's Eric, and we're jumping back to the LCK preview train, continuing our trend of looking at the playoff squads. And Griffin, the new kids on the block, one game away on two separate occasions from qualifying for Worlds 2018. Did not get it done in those game fives against KT and Gen G, but coming into 2019, I would still be terrified to go up against this roster. And well, all these other LCK squads are potentially making moves / definitely making moves. You've got to expect this squad to come back as the exact same lineup. Look at all these contracts through to 2020 as they've signed them all on. And why would you make a move for any of these? I mean, there's no reason to get rid of them. Even there might be other teams who come calling to want the likes of Tarzan, Chovy, or Viper in particular. But if you're Griffin, you're not letting go of anyone. You have them locked up till 2020, and with all the roster shuffling that'll be going on throughout the rest of the league for the spring split and maybe even continuing into the summer split, if you keep this starting five the exact same with Rather in there as a sub, I just said you were one game away from Worlds on two separate occasions, 13-5 in your debut split in the LCK. They're probably the favorites to take home the spring split title in Korea, just solely on the fact that they already have all this synergy and cooperative the communication that they developed over not just last year in the LCK, but these guys have played together throughout the Challenger Series as well. So just the familiarity and comfortable in-game play that they have, they're probably favorites to win the entire split in spring. So Griffin, they're really the only LCK squad where you can pretty confidently say you don't need to make any moves. You don't need to make any roster changes. I think it was a pretty common feeling that if Griffin went to Worlds over the likes of Gen G or even Africa, I think you're looking at a better performance from the LCK as a whole. They were much closer to the likes of KT Rolster, as you saw in that incredible 5-game set that they played. They just came up short against a gauntlet buffed Gen G, but there's no way this Griffin squad would have gone 1-5 if you put them in the exact same group that Gen G had. So Griffin is still a top tier team in the LCK going forward. And as you saw, they were the team that you were kind of looking at as this is the beginning of a new era out there in the LCK. So Griffin, don't make any roster changes. I know you might say not getting to Worlds is a disappointment, but you're at a pretty big disadvantage and handicap when you miss out on the entire spring split. And although they slumped a little bit towards the end of summer, their dominance that they put forth in the summer split is still something that we should be praising. And the fall off of the LCK in Worlds has kind of made us forget about it, but they were dominant across pretty much all categories in the summer split. They were top 5 basically at worst in all the major categories, and 6-0 start. You remember how dominant they were, and then they played that big stretch of games against the top dogs in KT, Gen G at the time, Kingzone. They dismantled Kingzone 4-0 in the summer split, and obviously Kingzone didn't quite live up to the hype and standard that they set in the spring split previously, but Griffin will be a team to be reckoned with in 2019. And again, just because of who knows what kind of rosters we're going to be looking at on paper, unless there's some super team that's going to be set up. And even then, you got to think that Griffin are going to be favorites heading towards 2019. And they're young. They're so young coming in here. The oldest player on their squad is Sword at 21 years old. Chovy is obviously 17 and wasn't even eligible to qualify from the Challenger Series for them. And he's already being compared to Faker. He won that game 5 against Africa with that incredible Orianna ultimate. I mean, what a debut split for the kid in the mid lane, competing against the very best in the world, especially when it comes to that mid lane. And boy, did he perform. Tarzan, Viper, and Chovy had the top 3 KDAs of the entire league. The top 3 were all on one team. That's just how dominant they were, and those are the featured players on this squad. Viper's 18, Tarzan is 19. He basically has 3 top 10 accounts in Challenger right now. He's dominating that scene. Obviously, he's excited and ready to get back in 2019. Viper was so hungry, and you could tell how disappointed he and the rest of his team were when they didn't qualify for Worlds, even when they were starting 6-0. They were basically saying that's not enough. We want to win the title and we want to go to the World Championship. So you know that they are going to be fired up. There's no dying hunger for these guys because they've only been around for one split and they didn't even get to Worlds. So they are going to be flying full force ahead, and I would be terrified if I was the rest of the LCK matching up against Griffin in 2019, and they don't have to deal with any of the offseason drama. They're all locked up to 2020. Don't see any roster changes happening from them going forward. Watch out for Griffin in 2019.